Hello, I'm ABX Toycat, and welcome back to Seeds Sunday. Seeds Sunday is a weekly series I run on my channel where I show you seeds Minecraft console edition, which are particularly interesting and worth checking out some way. And this week's seed is definitely that, but in a way I really do quite like, because it has, a decent number of villages. It's got 3 villages of blacksmith chests and an extra village, which is really cool and really bizarre. So 4 villages total, but on top of having 4 villages, it has a bunch of weird glitchy stuff that I think is always amazing to look at, and you might want to settle down with. But also, on top of being glitchy and having lots of free loot, it also has access to what I think is really awesome in the form of like lots of different biomes. So it has a jungle, it has a mega taiga, it has a mesa, has access to all 6 types of wood. It has everything you'd want when it comes to a seed, as well as being cool, as well as having lots of villages. So yeah, I really do quite like this seed, and the seed, if you are curious, is IBX Toy Martini 7. So if you type that, it's going to be on screen right now, just in case I got it wrong. If you type that seed in, you'll get this exact seed, and you'll spawn just over here. Anyway, before I say anything else though, I would like to say, please do like this if you do like it, because it helps out the channel, and let's know you do like Seed Sunday, and want to see more of these on the channel. I mean, it's currently a weekly thing, but yeah, if you want to see more, let me know. But with that said, let's get straight into it. So let's start by talking about the first thing here, I guess, which is going to have to be, again, the spawn area. So the spawn area, it looks kind of, I guess, bland, although, you know, the bland is a good thing, because it's mostly flat. But in case that is the sort of thing where you're like, I don't really care about the savannah/desert combination, well, you can climb this mountain over here, and from this mountain, you can see not just one village, which you can see from spawn over there, but you can see the other village over there, and then you can see a village off in the distance too. That's right, 3 villages, all visible pretty much from spawn, and all 3 of these ones have the blacksmith chest, which means literally in minutes from spawning, you can go to this place, you can get its blacksmith's loot, which, by the way, again, changes from platform to platform, but yeah, again, it could be anything depending on your platform. But in this particular case, I know it was really good loot on the Xbox One, because in this chest, as you can see, 2 diamonds, obsidian, and some iron armor, like all the good stuff all at once, as well as some gold, I guess. The second chest, which is found over there, also some pretty good stuff, and I just think a general free chest is a really great thing. But in case that isn't your interest, and you're like, you know what, villages are a nice bonus, but what about the other parts of the seed? Something that might interest you. Oh, by the way, just first village coordinates, just in case you are curious, just over here. And also, the first village is really glitchy because there's water which pours out from here in a really bizarre way. And this water which pours out from here kind of stops and then goes like underground. And, you know, I know the way the glitch happened, but then it happens over here. And then, oh, it looks like the water's flowed from that, stopped flowing, started flowing again. And it's just a really, really bizarre thing. So, yeah, basically, super weird village for that reason. And maybe that's enough to check it out. But in case it's not, maybe you want to head to this corner over here, because this village has this seed has the most amount of failed villages I've ever seen. That's right, there's something like 4 or 5 separate village wells around, which is really rare. Usually there's one, because when a village tries to generate, it generates the well, then it tries to generate the rest, and usually it doesn't fail at generating it. However, here you can see one failed over here, and also by the way, this is a really great part of the map, because as you can see, it's a tiny savannah with a tiny roof forest next to it. So if you want 2 of the rarer types of wood, or the newer types of wood, I guess you could say, you got your dark oak and you got your acacia right next to each other, which I think is nice. Also right next to an extreme hill, the tiniest extreme hills ever, like I don't know if you can call this extreme, and also next to the village well. So there's some, combination of this which I think is amazing, whether it is like, oh yeah, maybe you grow your roof forest in the extreme hills, because then you get a different type of tree. Maybe it's just like, oh yeah, have an ice farm next to your wood farm, or maybe it is like make a village on the extreme hills using the existing well. There's a few things you can do here, but I think the fact that it's all so close together is at least slightly interesting to me. Anyway, besides that, we've got this mesa over here. Mesas are always cool because stained clay, red sand, stuff you always want to have. But the thing I find really interesting about this mesa is, as you all are all aware, most of the biomes try to make this big kind of gap between the edge of the biome and the edge of the world. It's about chunk size, but in this case, most of the mesa did it, and then it just suddenly decided, no, let's stop, and then made a giant mesa mountain. And yeah, looking at the mesa mountain, you can see that it's just a little bit, I don't know, to me at least, you see the difference and you're like, wow, that's quite the thing. So yeah, Mesa Mountain tried to generate the edge of the world and made a very bizarre little thing right there. And then next up, we've got a mini Mesa Mountain, which, again, they're clearly going somewhere. If the seed was bigger, you'd be able to see that. But for now, you just get a weird glitch where it goes all the way to the edge and you can't mine the last block anyway. So, yeah, I think there's some potential in that if you like your glitchy stuff. If that's not enough for you, then... Oh, by the way, there's a desert temple around the seed, which I think is really interesting. We'll get to later. But if that's not glitchy enough for you, then you might want to head further along the south... Can we call it a coast? We'll call it a coast. If you go along the south coast of the map, then you'll cross over onto a tiny, secluded island, and this island is a tiger island. So it's not just a tiger island, it's half a mega tiger island, and the mega tiger is really cool because giant spruce trees are kind of striking, 3 boulders for mossy stone and stuff, but also there's a giant ravine going through it. So yeah, you get a ravine in a mega tiger biome, which is on a little rare island. I think that's cool enough by itself, but there's also, in my opinion, it's not amazingly rare, but it is something that you don't see every seed, where basically if you go to this corner corner right here and dig down, you actually find yourself in a cave which has 2 borders at, the same thing. So if you want to make a cave house, I think this is going to be the very best cave in the game, because again, 2 of the walls you don't even have to worry about. You just remove a few blocks here and there, and you've got yourself a cave house that's already mostly built. So yeah, cave house that would confuse people because it's using the edge of the map. I think there's some potential here. Also, it happens just over here too. Yeah, I think it's a really cool little thing that happens so many times in this particular case. And if you go down even further, it's just a giant series of caves that leads into iron, into gold, into all sorts of stuff you might also like. So that's found at the very corner, just over here, 428, 428. So yeah, if we head further up this side of things, we'll end up at both those villages you saw earlier. Again, both pretty nice villages. One is a desert village, one is a a regular village like this. So this regular village is actually, again, pretty normal. That's why I'm going to call it a regular village. Besides some gravel poking up and there being some sand all over the place, it's actually pretty normal. But it also has 2 diamonds, 5 obsidian, and some an enchanted book in here. Enchanted book's very rare, so if you're playing on Xbox One, you're very lucky. I think that also applies to the 360, but I can't guarantee. And I know that sometimes on the PS3 and the PS4 they mix up the loot for stuff. But as well as that, as you can see, it's just like, oh yeah, this is kind of a nice enough village if you want a standard village. If standard isn't your thing, or not quite so much your thing, then you've got this village over here. So as you can see, the village is really interesting because it all takes place in one direction of the well, which obviously that's because there's a roof forest which is just jutting out from nowhere. It was clearly meant to be a lot bigger than it is, but it only goes in one direction, that's fine. And yeah, from this one direction we can see 3rd blacksmith chest, 3rd set of free loot, which isn't quite so good, but still, compared to after 4 diamonds and a free enchanted book and a full nether portal, I think some slime would be appreciated. As well as that, we of course have the roof forest nearby, which I think, again, there's some potential to having the forest right next to the village. I don't know what that is in my head right now. Maybe you have your own ideas, but just in case that is interesting, that's found over there. And then also, if we head further to the north, you get yourself an extreme hills, because most extreme hills seem to generate really low right now. Even after the update, you rarely get anything above like Y100, but here you can see it goes all the way up to Y117, which is nice enough, I guess. And the other reason I like this extreme hills is because, as you can see, it kind of juts out, and I think it makes some interesting terrain. If you like your mountains and you like having a different view each time, maybe this is one that interests you. And if it's not, then maybe you want to head further on the north here, because you go through some pretty interesting stuff in my opinion, and you eventually end up at this village here. So I love this village because it's on a peninsula. Like, look how small this little connection is. It's got a single pumpkin nearby, which also kind of interesting, and it also is the best type of, or not the best type of village, but it's also a really interesting village because it just has a church and just has this thing. So yeah, the tiniest village like I've seen in a very long time, just 2 houses and the well. The well goes, of course, pretty deep. Yeah, I feel like it's just an interesting place to have, but you might have seen out the corner of your eye one very other interesting thing here, or one interesting other thing here, which has to be the desert temple. So yeah, we have literally like a third of a desert temple that was tried to generate here. It's been a while since I've seen one of these, and I really love seeing it because it's just a little bit of a bizarre thing, like, oh, we've made prison here, haven't we? And yeah, if you actually place some blocks here on yourself, you can kind of lock yourself in, which I think is kind of interesting. And yeah, that's something you might want to do, or lock other people in, I should say, because you can actually do that in a few places. And I really love the idea of like, aha, we've locked someone in prison, and or doing something along those lines. Because if you do that, then what are people going to do? Answers nothing. So yeah, as well as that, of course, here is your jungle. Love me some jungle because it's so rare. Again, I really hated it before. It seemed a lot rarer, and now I do. I fall into the trap being like, oh, aren't jungles great? And it's like, no, they're awful. But yeah, I still do quite like jungles. Great source for cocoa beans, great source for melons, it seems, and great source for amazingly green grass that you want. So yeah, that brings us pretty much to the end of this seed. There's a few other extreme hills around the map. In fact, there's actually a surprising amount on this seed, like as well as like the number I've shown you so far. They just kind of pop up everywhere between biomes. So I've got one over here, for instance. There's an extreme, like sand hill over there. I actually think that's kind of cool too. Yeah, one final thing I want to show you is just in case, like me, you need sandstone crazy. You've got big sandstone builds in your head and you want them in survival. Then over here is a giant mountain, right? And because of the way that sand mountains are structured, this is just the biggest source of sandstone like ever, really. Because look how much sandstone is in a row right here. And then if we try to go below this thing, it's just non-stop sandstone in every direction. Like, basically, if you need sandstone and you need lots of it, you can get thousands of bits just from this one mountain, because you dig up a bunch of blocks, you're going to get sandstone, you dig down, a bunch of sandstone, and yeah, basically, sandstone everywhere, and if you want to get it all, you can. So, thank you all very much for watching today's Seed Sunday. If you did all like it, like the video and let me know, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if subscribed, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.